Good afternoon, keystrokers. It is me, Kalene, with Kalene's Storytime. Hopefully, I do not sound like a robot going in and out as my connection likes to go on the fritz. Hopefully, it'll work this time. I'm coming in a little bit early. I really hurt my back yesterday, and hopefully, I can get through this whole thing without cringing live in pain. So, for the most part, I just need to stay as straight as I can in my backness. Anyway, today I have for you. Oh, well, it would probably help if I actually put it in the feed. There we go. Midlife Curses by Christine Zane Thomas. Mr. Tyler Davis was the second one up in the running on my list of, or my call for stories. Hello, Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but hello. Thank you for watching. Yes, and of course, now I've covered it. Hang on. Give me a second. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Where is my thing? There it is. All right, so uno momento on the nice black screen. All right, so Midlife Curses, blurb opener, a paranormal woman's fiction murder mystery for anyone who believes you can find your powers at any age. Oh yeah, super cool awesomeness. Let's bring that back up. There we go. So you don't want to look at my face the whole time. And make you bigger. Can I make you bigger? Yes, I can. Hello, Elaine Bateman. Thank you for coming. I'm just going to jump right in. Chapter 1. I am here on phone trying to get my laptop to work. Okay, Facebook user. Yay! All right. So, everyone watching as I fumble around myself. Okay, let's go. Chapter 1. In which I file for divorce. I stared at the email sitting on top of my inbox. It made my insides want to leap to the outside, only I couldn't pinpoint exactly why. At first glance, it looked completely benign. Only 4 words. Meet me in 5. But I was on my 100th glance. I stared at those words until my eyes blurred. I was still unable to glean any more information out of them. Those 4 words were in reply to a standard company email, software requirements for a new client. I'd asked to be CC'd on any correspondence between our sales and engineering team. At a small company like Swizzled Innovators, that meant I was added to an email between just 2 people. Melissa, our sales rep, and Mark, the head of engineering. Oh, and Mark also happened to be my husband. We'd started working there the same day. It was his idea, following several of his programmer friends from Yahoo. I wondered if Mark had made a mistake, if he'd hit reply all accidentally. An easy mistake to make, one I'd made in the past, often to my detriment. I watched the door to his office, the one adjacent to my own. Back when we'd started at the company, we shared a small office. Back then, it was fun. Working all hours at a startup hadn't seemed like a chore. Where is this meeting going to take place? I wondered. Is it a meeting at all, or something else? Maybe Mark and Melissa get coffee together all the time. It weirded me out how easily Mark and Melissa rolled off the tongue, even in my head. In fact, it was so weird it made me shudder. There's no Mark and Melissa, I told my inner monologue. Or perhaps it told me. Right on time, Mark left his office. I pretended not to notice. Oh, here's my computer that just went to sleep. From the corner of my eye, I saw him glance my way, but he didn't seem worried at all. That was a good sign. I had to stand to see where he went next. To the meditation room. The dark, one person only, meditation room. Not a minute passed before Melissa scurried that way, stumbling on her 2 high heels. She was awkward and self-conscious as a rule, but I could swear she used that trip as a ruse to gauge if anyone was watching her. I ducked behind my door before the tall brunette could see me. Melissa flipped the sign on the meditation room from vacant to occupied and slipped into the dark room. The room had once been used for lactating mothers, when there was a lactating mother. Now it was supposed to be for moments of quiet reflection. There was a fish tank, a white noise machine, and 2 cozy beanbags. It was a perfect storm. A storm I wasn't quite ready to face. A few minutes later, I watched them leave. Only minutes. I knew Mark. He wasn't one to worry about anyone else's needs. In a way, it was funny. Melissa probably thought quickie meant something regarding time. I resigned myself to confronting him that night. My heart wasn't breaking. It was crumbling into pieces as I went back to my desk. And I would have waited. I really would have, had I not caught them sneaking in there again later that afternoon. This time, I couldn't sit idly by. I couldn't ignore it happening multiple times right under my nose. Adrenaline coursing through my veins, I basically flew out of my desk. And before I gave myself a chance to think about it, I knocked on the meditation room door. In the tone I reserve for company meetings, my most demanding voice, I said, "Mark, I need to see you right now. It's urgent." Heart pounding in my chest, I stormed down the hall toward the break room, unsure where to go, unsure what to do. This wasn't the plan. The plan was to open a bottle of wine and to calmly but assertively ask Mark for a divorce. Still seeing red, I was anything but calm. "Constance," Mark said. "Constance, it's not what you think." Mark trailed me like a dog with its tail between its legs. Except Mark's tail was a belt dangling from his halfway down pants. He jerked them to his waist, zipped the zipper, clasped the belt, and said, "Okay, it is what you think, but I can explain." My stomach churned and was on the edge of evicting its contents onto the grimy break room floor. My eyes stung, still. I resolved to keep it together, to put on a brave face, mostly because nearly half of the company was watching from their desks. The stupid open floor office plan. The tears began to flow down my cheeks. I could have seen this coming. A little voice in the back of my mind said it had, said, I told you he was up to something. Only that little voice wasn't so loud a week ago. It hadn't warned the rest of me, the parts of my body doing all the work, pulling air into my lungs and pumping blood from my chest. Had those parts known, well, maybe I wouldn't have ended up a red-faced monster with mascara smeared down my cheeks and snot cascading from my nose. My thick blonde hair was frizzed where I twisted in frustration in an attempt to subvert my hands, to keep them from throttling Mark's highly throttable neck. "It's not you, it's me," Mark said twice. The first in an undertone, the second loud enough for Steve in accounting to hear. Accounting was in the back by the stairs. Strike one and strike two. Obviously it's him. Who else could it be? Given the way he and everyone else was looking at me, that answer too was obvious. But I couldn't let him win. He was just reeling off the same played-out cliche of a phrase he'd heard in every romantic movie ever made. Not that Mark had many of those. 6, maybe 7. And they're all comedies starring Adam Sandler. "Of course it's you," I retorted. "I'm not the one who had my pants down with Melissa." "It's not Melissa's fault either," Mark said chivalrously. "Again, I know," I reiterated. "It's your fault, and yours alone." "Well," Mark muttered, "not alone. I mean, you're to blame for this too, right? It takes two to tango and all that. And it's obvious there are some things that I haven't been getting from our marriage." I knew exactly what things he was talking about. "There's more to a relationship than sex," I said. "Keep your voice down, Constance." First, he had the audacity to blame me. Then he tried to shush me. Mark tried to put a hand on my shoulder. Reflexively, I pulled away. I knew that lowering our voices wasn't going to help anything. The whole office could see and hear us. Some even had the temerity to walk by, their ears pricked like Doberman pincers. Granted, it was the middle of the day, and one or two probably wanted to retrieve their lunches from the office refrigerator. But most were there for the spectacle, lurking to get the inside scoop on the drama. I took a deep breath, then took in the scene. My formerly blue eyes, now undoubtedly red and blue, scanned the open floor plan. Every single person pretended to be busy all of a sudden, unwilling to look at me. Except Melissa, who was already back at her workstation with earbuds in her ears. She wasn't listening to our argument. She pretended the confrontation had nothing to do with her. And maybe it didn't. Maybe this is all my fault. Then Mark spoke, and I knew better. This was his fault. I should have seen it coming. I could have shielded myself from this inevitability. It's not just the lack of sex, he whispered. It takes a lot of work to make a relationship work. It's been 10 years. It's not working. I know, Mark, I said, mimicking his tone. I was there too. We were working on this company. That's all we've been doing the past few years. Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to say, he pleaded. We're here at work together, but you'd never know that we're married. You're always busy, then when we get home, you go straight to sleep like you're exhausted. I am busy, and I go to sleep because I am exhausted. Right. But can't you see why I needed to sleep with someone else? Oh, you weren't doing much sleeping. Brody Hickman couldn't hold his tongue any longer. He barged into the break room and refilled his coffee cup, officially making the break room and our personal lives fair game. A gaggle of employees streamed inside. They opened the refrigerator, shouldered into a line at the microwave, and, like Brody, poured coffee into their cups, all of which had our company logo on the side. This was why I should never have taken a job with all of Mark's friends and none of my own. I should have done something else with my life, not tried to micromanage code jockeys. It was too much. I wanted them gone. I wanted everyone to just stop. So I yelled, "Stop it! All of you!" And they did. Everyone just stopped. Even Mark. It was more than just a pause, though. Much more. They froze, unmoving. It was a relief at first. The weirdness of it took a few seconds for my brain to comprehend. I tentatively waved my hand in front of Mark's face. He didn't blink. It was like on Saved by the Bell when Zach Morris said, "Time out," and everyone around him stopped what they were doing. Only that was a TV show. And this was real life, my life. I was starting to freak out. This couldn't be real. Then it clicked into place. I realized my words caused this. I screamed. I screamed again, loud and long, wishing for things to go back to normal. And everything did. Well, sort of. Mark and the staff unpaused, but now they were looking at me, wondering why I was screaming like I'd just met Pennywise the dancing clown. Brody took a sip of his coffee. Why the hell is the coffee cold? 15 minutes later, Randy, the HR manager, was in my office telling me that it wasn't working out. Randy's words were the human resource equivalent to Mark's, "It's not you, it's me." 2 hours after that, I was in another office, the office of my attorney, and Mark was served divorce papers the next day. I wasn't going to wait around for the full 6-month waiting period required by California law for the divorce to be final. I let Mark have everything. The house with its 325 more payments, and the Tesla that I'd helped secure, and everything else he wanted. The TV, the other TV, the video game consoles, and our shared collection of Funko Pops. Well, except for the Harry Potter Pops. Those were mine. I packed up Crookshanks, my 15-year-old Subaru Outback, the only car that was solely mine, the one I'd had since college. And I left. I started toward my dad's place in San Diego, but somewhere along the way I changed my mind. I let Mark have the whole state. I just kept driving without anywhere in particular in mind. I stopped to sleep, I stopped to eat, but I didn't consult a map or a phone. I was driving on autopilot. 2 days later, I was surprised to find myself on an unfamiliar doorstep. My memory of the road trip faded into nothing. I couldn't remember what roads I'd taken or what hotels I'd stayed in. Nothing. I had no recollection of how exactly I'd gotten here or where here was. I had no clue who was on the other side of that door. But I knocked on it anyway. I thought about running back to the car, but my feet might as well have been nailed to the porch. I couldn't go back. The door cracked open, and a narrow slice of an old woman's face appeared. She was smiling. "Constance," my estranged grandmother, Gran, said, pulling the door wide. "I've been expecting you." And that was chapter 1 of Midlife Curses by Christine Zane Thomas. Hello, Bard of Today. Yes, Bard of Today says, I hope she smacks him. I wish that too. I wish she had smacked him. That would have been delightful. And yes, that was that. Gosh, I'm a little frazzled, as I said earlier. My lower spine wants to escape from my body, and I am slightly having an out of body experience as I'm doing this. So yeah, if you want to check out Tyler's, Christine Zane, that's a pen name. Oh my God, book. It's really fun. One thing that the Keystroke fam has discovered, that by the fourth book that he was putting out, he Tuckerized most of us into the book. So I'm in there, Lauren's in there. I wonder who the main character is. I'll let y'all discover that. And Scott's, I believe Scott's in there. And Willow, my daughter's in there as well. She's fun. Anyway, go check it out. And next week, maybe this Sunday, if hopefully I'm feeling better by then. Either way, next up is going to be Patricia Gillam in her A Superhero's Duty, The Heroes of Corvus Book 1. And then after that, our very own J. Clifton Slater, Hawks of the Sorcerer Queen, Terror, and Talons Book 1. If any of you out there would like to have your book, not your whole book, but the first chapter, narrated by moi, please send me an email to kwilliams@nosafewordsllc.com. Make sure you put like story time in the subject so that I know what it's for. I'll need the first chapter, or at least a link to where you are on Amazon. Because if I just go trying to look for you and you use a different name or a slightly different iteration, I probably won't be able to find your book, because Amazon likes to make that fun. But yeah, anyway, so that's it for today. It's a short one. I'm going to go lay down and try not to cry. Okay, I love you guys. Be sure to check us out next time. Saturday at, I can't even remember anymore. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. Yes, that's it. 8 p.m. Eastern. I forget who we have on, but it's going to be super fun. Mondays in the morning with Josh and Scott. Always coffee and concepts. And yeah, so that's it. Peace be with you.